Shay Ma'at Hotep. My name is Raymond Witcher, and I will be your host. I, I'm going to give you a presentation. It's not really a presentation, but I'm going to talk to you about what is the religion, what is a religion of the state. Okay, so I want to show you what it means, what introduce you to Cash. All right, this is my daughter's little dog. Well, he's really my wife's dog because she takes care of him. But say hi, Cash. Okay. He's up late. I do these late at night when I have peace and privacy. But I want to show you what it means for a religion become the state religion. We believe and we say that religion is a free choice. America says religion is a free choice. You can follow any religion you want. That's not a religion of the state. That hasn't become the state religion. If we're paying attention to the Republicans, they're saying they want Christianity to be the national religion, or the state religion, meaning no other religion would be able to be practiced within the United States but Christianity. So what does it mean when religion becomes the state religion? It means that there is no choice. It means that you accept it or you die. Okay? There is no choice. So what I'm going to show you is how Christianity and Islam became the two most popular religions. They became the two most popular religions because both religions became the religion of the state. And it followed colonization. Everywhere that they colonized, Christianity became the religion of the state. Christianity was forced on the people. Christianity was forced on our African ancestors. They didn't have a choice. They know that after 2 to 3 generations from the time that they forced this on the people, the youth that are born into this religion of the state, that's all they know. That's all they know. They don't know of anything else. Okay? So through Christianity, I'm sticking with Christianity because that's the religion that I once followed. But it's the same path if you were to follow the path of Islam. It takes the same path. And if you really do some research on the history of Islam, Islam is the youngest religion. I don't think it's been maybe, I'm going to check. I don't want to give you false information, so let me verify it. And if you really do a good study on how Islam became so popular, first of all, you'll find out that Islam was started by the Catholic Church. Okay? It was started by the Catholic Church. That's why, well, the Catholic Church wanted a location closer to Israel. They wanted to take over Israel, the Holy Land. So they wanted to use the Arab nations to be able to get into the Arab nations to be closer to Israel. So they funded Islam. The Catholic Church used an ex-nun, sent her in. She married Muhammad. Okay? Now listen, she married Muhammad, and that's why when you see a nun and you see a Muslim woman in the same in the Muslim woman, the dress that a lot of Muslim women wear, with their mouth covered and everything covered, she looks just like a nun. Okay, so when we really look at things, we start to see a pattern. You see the nun on the right and the Muslim woman dressed in their attire, and the only difference is the Muslim woman has her mouth and her nose covered, and the nun has a cross on. Okay, so where did the Muslim women get the idea that this is the way they need to have the women's dress code? From a nun. Okay, sent in by the Catholic Church. Okay, so what fell apart? What fell apart is once Islam became popular, it became the fastest growing religion on earth. So when the Catholic Church went back in and said, okay, now we need to come into the Arab nations so that we can be close to Israel, the Arab nations said, forget you. We don't need you. We're the fastest growing religion on earth. We don't want to have anything to do with you. So they alienated themselves away from the Catholic. And because of that, the Catholics pledged that we will create havoc and unrest in the Muslim nations forever. And look what's going on in the Muslim nations. You think that their luck is just that bad? No, it's a conspiracy to punish them for turning their back on the Catholic Church. Okay, so I wanted to throw that in. All right, let's look at the circle. Okay, I'm doing this because we have quite a few new subscribers, and they may not have seen the slide on the circle. So this circle represents, okay, inside this circle is the realm of understanding. Everything that I think and believe I know is within the circumference of this circle. I must realize that there is much more outside the circle than inside the circle. Okay? And realm of understanding and limited knowledge. So I can learn and expand my realm of consciousness. I can't limit myself to believe I know all that there is to know based only on my limited realm of understanding. Okay? Instead of getting mad, get smart, prove me wrong, without your feelings, passions, and emotions. Show your evidence and I will show mine. I'm making a deal that I'm not going to present anything to you that I can't show you evidence, that you can't look at it, see it, validate it, and make your own decision. Okay? Now this circle is very important. Okay, and the reason I'm showing you this is because we have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, and what this circle represents, it represents our ancestors, meaning we have been taught that death is final, that there is nothing after death. Well, I dispute that simply by saying that we are a collection of all of our ancestors. Okay, so we have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, 32 great-great-great-grandparents. And if we do this math back 20 generations, we have 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024. If you go down 500 years or 20 generations, we have over 1 million ancestors. And that's if we only go back 500 years. All of our ancestors from the beginning, it took each and every one of them to make us. If one of those ancestors was missing, you nor I would be here. That shows how special we are. Don't let anybody tell you you're not special. You're more than special. You're a winner because it started off as a race. It started off with billions of sperm cells trying to get to one egg of a woman. And guess what? Each and every one of us here, each and every one of us listening to this video, we won the race. When we reached the egg of the woman and that spermatozoid penetrated that wall into the egg, a reaction occurred and the egg produced a shell, like the shell of a chicken egg. The reason that it needed to produce that shell is so that no other sperm could get into the egg. See, God does his work without any assistance. Okay? He knows. Our Creator knows. I'm using the word God, even though it's a Greek word, so that you can know what I'm talking about. So when that sperm hits that egg and gets in that egg and that egg forms the shell, all of the other sperms bounce off. Okay? So we're special. Don't let anybody tell you you're not. Okay, so what I'm trying to get you to understand is the majority of people with mental illness, addiction, thinking of committing suicide feel they are all alone in this world, and that's a lie. We are just taught wrong. Christianity teaches that we should separate ourselves from the dead, have no relationship or connection with the dead. Do you really believe your mom, dad, grandparents, and all these ancestors it took for us to be here are going to do us harm, lead us in the wrong direction? Once their spirits leave the body, our Creator, God, assigned it to do. Do you believe their spirits are now the boogie spirit that wants to destroy us? Isn't that what Christianity teaches? Disconnect ourselves from our deceased ancestors. Remember who forced this Bible and religion on us, okay? All right? If one of our ancestors, okay, I mentioned that, okay? So don't think that the people who set goals to colonize, enslave and oppress us are going to be so kind that they're going to give us a religion with a book that has God's holy word and a savior that's going to save us from them. That goes against every rule of white supremacy. It goes against every rule of logic. It goes against every rule of colonization. It goes against every rule of Hellenization. And it goes against every rule of oppression. I don't care what we were taught to believe, it's not true. Okay, so I'm doing this because I haven't done these two circles in a while, and it's very important. It's part of the foundation of awareness, consciousness that I'm trying to wake you up to. Remember that there are 5 to 7 dimensions. It depends on which profile you look at, okay? But the third dimension is the one that they want to keep us in. They want to keep us in this circle, because within the circle of the third dimension is where fear exists, and it is where religion thrives, because we are taught that Christianity and Islam are faith-based religions. It's not. They're fear-based. Okay, don't want to spend too much time on that. So we're going to move on, and I want to show you a few things and explain to you what the religion of the state is, what it means, and show you that that is how Christianity and Islam spread around the world. Now listen, Christianity and Islam are the only 2 religions that were the religions of state. Hinduism and all of the other religions, they were strictly choices. All right, they were not forced on the people. Now let me explain something to you so that you can see it. Okay, Jews say they are God's chosen people. Okay, I used to disagree with that. I still disagree with the Jews that are in Israel saying they are God's chosen people, because they're not the original Jews. Okay, the original Jews are Semitic. Semitic means black. So when somebody says you're anti-Semitic, a black person really can't be anti-Semitic, because it means you, well, I take that back. Clarence Thomas can be anti-Semitic because he doesn't do anything for blacks. A lot of the people that voted for Donald Trump can be anti-Semitic because they don't identify themselves either as black or with black struggles. Okay, so Christianity and Islam Here's the deal. Okay, so Jews say they are God's chosen people. What is that based on? It's based on the fact that the Jews chose a God. And the God they chose, the biblical God, says, don't make any other God before me. Because he knows there are other gods. He's saying, you choose me, you stick with me. You don't bow down to any other God. You don't worship any other God. You put no other God before me. And you are my chosen people because you chose me. Well, guess what? The Hindus that follow Mithra and Krishna, they chose Mithra and Krishna. And guess what? They're Mithra and Krishna as their God's chosen people. The Christians, the Greek and the Romans, they wrote their own. I mean, all of this is created. None of this is historical. Okay, so from a mythology viewpoint, all of these different religions have people that chose that religion's God as their God, and they became that God's chosen people. The Muslims chose Allah as their God, and the Muslims are Allah's chosen people. Does it make sense? Okay, that's why in the previous video, who are the Peso family? This is why I'm showing you these things so that you can tie it together. Okay, the Peso family created a God and a religion that endorsed slavery because they wanted slaves. Islam is a branch off of Christianity. Okay, look at Islam, look at Christianity, look at Judaism. The only difference is, well, the main difference is what they believe as the true descendants of Abraham, whether they are descendants of Ishmael or whether they are descendants of Isaac. Those that believe Ishmael, they are the Arabs. Those that believe that Isaac is the chosen one are the Christians. Then you have the Jews, okay? But what it really boils down to, if you look at Galatians chapter 4, verses 22 and 24, it tells you that Abraham, his sons, his wife, and Hagar are all allegory, which means it's a made-up story. So none of this has a foundation because Abraham never existed. And the Bible tells you that in Galatians chapter 4, read verses 22 through 24. And it tells you these things are an allegory. So that destroys that. But stand on the point. Staying so that you can understand the path that I'm trying to take you on. There have been stories of 16 crucified saviors. All of the people that chose that religion and followed that God are that God's chosen people. Now notice that all of these people that chose a God, the Hindus, when you look at their God, it looks like Indians. When you look at the God's images of their God, they look like the people. When you go to China or Asia and you're looking at those that follow the Buddhist religion, Buddha looks like an Asian. Black people are the only people that follow somebody else's God. And you wonder why we can't get out of this mess. You think you're gonna pray your way out by bowing down to a white Jesus. It's not gonna work. Jesus is the one that says, be kind to your masters, even those that are cruel to you. This is a slavery endorsement book. And I showed you in the Peso family when I did the previous video, where the Peso family said, the main reason that they started Christianity is because they were losing control of their slaves. And we need a religion to keep them in place. We need a religion to keep them humble, obedient, through fear that you're gonna go to hell. It doesn't exist, Okay? When you spend more time on earth and in life worrying about going to hell when you die, you will accept the hell that you live in and feel like it's God's will. That's the trick. Okay, so when it comes down to us dying and passing, you don't. You exist through your children. When your children have children, your genes never die until that genetic code stops being passed on to your descendants. That's why it's important that we teach our children at home, that we teach them truth and accuracy so that they don't get stuck in this thing, okay? So that they understand, hey, just listen, energy cannot be created and energy cannot be destroyed. This is energy. It takes energy for me to move. It takes energy for me to be able to talk. It takes energy when you are alive. So if energy can't be created or destroyed, what happens to this energy? When you can connect the spiritual world back to the living world of your descendants, you're living through them. You are now back in the spiritual world, getting your human experience through your children, through your grandchildren. So when you get to the spiritual world, the last thing I want to do, I can't tell you what the last thing you should want to do, but the last thing I want to do is being suffering because my children are suffering because they have a lack of knowledge. And the Bible tells you, my children, my people will die from lack of knowledge. Okay, so let's get down into let's get into religion of the state. Okay, so if do your own research. I'll share mine with you, and I'm not asking you to believe. I'm asking you to know. I'm asking you to get out of the believing business and get into the knowing business. Okay, there are two different realms. The third dimension is a believing business because they're telling you all you need to do is believe. When you get in the fourth dimension, you're questioning things that you used to believe that don't make sense. When you graduate from that fear, you're in the fifth dimension. I'm in the fifth dimension. Okay, I know it's not real. I don't need to fear it. It's not going to harm me. It's going to cause me more harm by practicing it than it would just by walking away from it. So do a search on did Christianity spread by being the religion of the state? Okay, and pull up legitimization under Constantine. Now, if you remember on the previous video, the Peso family, I showed you that they created Christianity. Well, actually, they created Judaism. The first thing they created was the Old Testament, Judaism. When that started to crumble and they were losing control of their slaves, they said, well, now we need to create a new religion. Okay, and they came up with Christianity. And then when it comes down to Constantine, okay, when it comes down to the Constantine the Greek, everybody says Constantine the Great, but he was Constantine the Greek. He was a murderer and a slaughterer. Okay, here's some things. I'm just introducing you to it. I'm gonna give you some things in it. You can pull it up and read it. Okay, the travel of Christianity is actually a very remarkable historical phenomenon. We begin with a small group of borders of the Roman Empire, and after 3 centuries go by, lo and behold, the same group of its descendants have somehow taken over the Roman Empire and have become the official religion. In fact, the only tolerated religion of the Roman Empire by the end of the 4th century. This was the only religion they allowed. This is when it's becoming the religion of the state. That is a truly remarkable development and a monumental historical problem, trying to understand how this spread. Of course, pious Christians have no doubt about how or why it happened. This is the hand of God working in history. This is what they say. All right. And the Christians of iniquity already made this very point. The fact that Christianity triumphed is proof of the truth. It's not, because it was never a religion by choice. It was a religion by becoming the state religion of Rome, of the Roman Empire, the Catholic Church, and the Greek. Now, during this time, it's calling out the 14th, the 4th, the 3rd, and 4th century. So this is right around the year 300 AD. By the year 500 AD, after they had written all of their doctrine, created their religion, all of these things, they started having their European inquisitions. That's when they were going around cutting people's heads off, sticking them on stakes, burning them in fires if you didn't accept Jesus Christ, right? For historians, that answer, while may be correct on one level, on the other level, is not entirely satisfactory. We historians would like to find other explanations of the triumph of Christianity, and indeed, ever since Gibbon wrote his famous history, historians identify various stages of the path of Christianity to the ultimate victory. All right, the first stage, Christianity begins not as a religion, it's rather a movement of people around single charismatic teachers. This is talking about Jesus, understanding, well, we know that Jesus didn't exist, okay? But this is how they push this thing, okay? All right, now Yahshua existed, Jesus never did. And it's gonna get in here and it's gonna tell you how they had all of this conflict about, is Jesus divine? Is he the Son of God? Okay, this is when it's being disputed, and this is when it was being forced on the people after they made these decisions. Okay, so when you get down here, you're reading about how Paul, okay, who then takes the Jewish schools. Paul never existed. Just want to throw this in. So don't get caught up on Paul. Paul never existed. Now, check this out. The authors of the gospel are supposed to be Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. Okay? That was supposed to be disciples and all of these things. Mark, Matthew, Luke, John, Peter, Paul, who? None of these people give their last names. Now, all of these disciples were supposed to have written their gospels independently. Each of their gospels start off the same way. The gospel according to Mark, the gospel according to Luke, the gospel according to John, the gospel according to Matthew. That is a hell of a coincidence that all of these guys are writing independent gospels and they all start off the exact same way. Didn't happen. The Peso family wrote this. The Peso members of their family wrote this. That's why they all start off the same way. That's why none of these guys have last names. Okay? Just throwing that in because just think about it. All of these guys are saying that this is according to me. They would have to have one author that's trying to write four people. They all came up because two people wouldn't come up with the same thing. Well, no, it's actually four people: Mark, Luke, Matthew, and John. If they were individually writing this, it's impossible for the first things to be said in the front of each of these gospels. This is the gospel according to Mark. This is the gospel according to Luke. It wouldn't happen like that. Okay, so when we keep going down, up here it's talking about Paul, and then they're talking about, of course, this takes place gradually over the next several decades, well into the 2nd century. So it's giving you the history. For some Christians, this never happens. They can't bring themselves to say that God thoroughly redrawn the map of the cosmos and has taken them out of the Jewish world. See, this is when they were breaking away from the Jews. All right. Okay, so when you come down here, I gotta plug in my battery. Excuse me. When you come down here, this is when they were trying to figure it out because they were breaking away from Judaism. Sometimes hold on to the Jewish scripts. People were trying to hold on to the Old Testament. Okay, I'm just brazing down through here. Okay, and then by the 3rd century era, we have something called Christianity. So this is when they were putting everything in place. Okay, let me get this. Okay, by the 3rd century, they had something called Christianity and its own sacred books, its own rituals, its own ideas. But this is the great age of confrontation with the Roman Empire. The 3rd century, of course, is the great age of persecutions. With the Roman Empire now wakes up and realizes that there is something new. Okay? And the Roman Empire was correct. The Romans correctly intuitive in hold on. Okay, so they were down here, they're worrying that the victory of Christianity would mean the end of the Roman Empire, the end of the classic world. I often think of persecution, of course, in a Christian perspective. All right. So this is when the balance started to shift. All right. The Romans tried to beat down Christianity but failed. By the 4th century, Christianity becomes the state religion. This is where I'm getting to. You see, I'm right here. All right. All right. Romans tried to beat down Christianity but failed. By the 4th century, Christianity becomes the state religion. And by the end of the 4th century, it is illegal to do any form of public worship other than Christianity in the entire Roman Empire. There is a great mystery in how this happened. I can tell you how it happened. It happened through the Inquisitions. It happened when they were going around earth killing everybody that didn't accept Jesus Christ as their savior. Okay, I can show you how it spread from the horrors of the church and its holy inquisitions. Okay, so there's no confusion how it spread. They were killing people. Anyone who attempts to do anything other, this is Pope Innocence. Okay, now read here. All right. All right. It says anyone who attempts to construe a personal view of God which conflicts with church dogma must be burned without pity. This is Pope Innocence. And if you look up Pope Innocence in King James, it was Pope Innocence in King James that made blacks, Africans, slaves for life. All right. The Inquisitions, they forced these things. Okay, it wasn't a choice. The Inquisition was an ecclesiastical court and process of the Roman Catholic Church set up for the purpose towards the discovery and punishment of heresy, meaning going against Jesus Christ, which wielded immense power and brutality in medieval and early modern times. The Inquisition's function was primarily a symbol to repress all heretics and of rights, deprive them of their estate and assets, which became subject to the ownership of the Catholic treasury. They taking your stuff. Same thing they did with colonization. With each relentlessly sought to destroy anyone who spoke or even thought differently to the Catholic Church. This system for close to over 6 centuries became the legal framework throughout most of Europe and orchestrated one of the most confounded religious orders in the course of mankind. It was never a choice until enough generations of this indoctrination, of first being forced on people, then the indoctrination of people, that they knew that we don't have to keep you caged up anymore. Now you're going to choose this. Okay, Willie Lynch said, you have to break the natural nature of the nigger like you break the natural nature of the horse, because in their natural state, God teaches them everything. And they're going to want, in their natural state, they are of no service to us because they don't want to work for us. They're going to want to be free. But once you break their natural nature, you can take the horse and turn him loose in the pasture. He's not going to want to run. He's not going to try to jump the fence. He's not going to kick you and bite you when you try to go get him to work. He's accepted because you've broken his nature. That's what these inquisitions did. Okay, inquisition procedures. At root, the word inquisition suffices a little of evil as the primitive inquiry or objective inquisitive. But the word, like persons, lose their character by bad association. So inquisition has become infamous and hideous as the name of the executive department of the Roman Catholic Church. All crimes and all vices are contained in this one word inquisition. Murder, robbery, arson, outrage, torture, treachery, deceit, hypocrisy, cupidity, holiness. No other word in all languages is so hateful as this one that owes its abhorrent. So this is, let me go down here. This is the time period also known as the Dark Ages, when we learn in school that this was the Dark Ages. It wasn't because it was dark. It was because everything was being suppressed. All of the literature was suppressed. You couldn't read anything that the Catholic Church didn't approve. If you get caught with any other Bible but their Bible, man, they'll kill you. If you get caught with any literature that they didn't approve for you to read, they will kill you. This was the Dark Age. This was the age that they were going around with all of the inquisitions. It was the Dark Age for anybody and everybody that didn't accept Jesus Christ. It was never a choice. Okay? All right? Let me breeze through here because I don't want to make this too long. Let me try to pick out a couple things. But you can come and read the whole document. Okay, so when you come down here on the dark side of Christian history, it's talking about how the same men who had been both prosecutors and judges decided upon the sentences of heresy. Once an inquisitioner quaestor arrived to a heresy-ridden district, a 40-day period of grace was usually allowed to all who wish to confess by recanting their faith. At the end of the period of grace had finished, after this period of grace had finished, the inhabitants were then summoned to appear before the inquisitioner. Citizens accused of heresy would be woken in the dead of night, ordered, and if not, gabbed, and then escorted to the holy. They were, killing them. And 1244, the Council of Hebron ordered that in the sentence of heretics, no husband should be spared because of his wife, no wife for her husband, and no parent spared for their helpless children. They had no mercy. Okay, you can read down through here. Okay, I'm just introducing you to it. I'm scanning through it because it would be too long for me to. I don't want to read it to you. I want to show you some things and then you read it for yourself. Okay, go back and find it. It's easy to find. Okay, so when you come down here, the author forgives further decisions. This is when they're telling them, look, you can prepare. They were telling them all the way. I mean, the whole time that they're saying, well, while stripping them of their clothes before, once they were sentenced, once the execution, once they were sentenced, the grave person would assist him, should make fresh attempts to persuade the accuser to confess the truth. Look, just tell us you accept Jesus, okay? We'll let you live. So the whole time that they're stripping them down to execute them, they're torturing them. And it says down here, endeavoring thus to instill fear unto himself, unto his mind. And when he is stripped naked, the inquisitioners should take him aside, exhorting him to confess, and promising him his life upon conditions of his doing so, provided that he is not a relapse, meaning you've done it before. We've been here and you confess, and then you went back and did it again. All right? They won't permit that at all. So you can scan down through here and tell me, when was it a choice until after they had indoctrinated us so much, like they indoctrinate the wild horse, that they can turn the wild horse out in the pasture. So it's the same thing with us. They indoctrinated us enough. And now keep in mind, they were doing this to white people. This is not what they were doing to black people. Okay, race hadn't even been invented yet. There was no such thing as race. There was no such thing as white people. There was no such thing as black people. There were none of these things. At this particular time, I don't even think they had. Okay, they had gone to Africa. Okay, but there was no racism. This wasn't a racist thing. This was a Christian thing. All right? Then Dan here is talking about, firstly, when faith is in question, there must be no delay. But the slightest suspicion, rigorous measures must be resorted to with all speed. That don't show them any. Look, once you have any suspicion, man, bring out the whips, the chains, the spears, start the fires. We're gonna burn them up. All right, confusing to confess at the first hearing. They're just going down through their process, and all of it was torture. All of it was about fear. Okay, and you can look at them here. Torturing people. Okay. Just don't let anybody tell you, well, this religion is a free choice. Never was, until they had indoctrinated us enough to turn us loose into the pasture. Okay, so you can come on down through here and you can see, all right, Papal's Inquisition. This is when the Inquisition started. So they're setting up here all of the rules to start the Inquisitions. And then you can see that they started the Inquisition in the year 1233. And they're saying that heresy was spreading rapidly in southern France. So this is the Papal. This is when they went into France, and they're gonna, these are white people. These aren't Africans. Okay? They learned what they did to us from what they did to their own people. So I'm not throwing race into this. Race hadn't even been invented yet. There were no such thing as white people and black people. Okay, now you come down here, and wait a minute. This doesn't give an end date for the Papal Inquisition. It just started in 1233. But you can see here that the Spanish Inquisition went from 1478, went for 400 years. 1478 to 1834. Okay? They weren't playing. Okay, so it's saying that in 1478, the Spanish Inquisition was established with the power removal of Pope Sextus V, the reform and extension of the ancient tribunal, which had existed from the 13th century, was mainly to discover and eliminate Jews and Muslims secretly taking up their beliefs in private. So you couldn't get away from them. Okay, so I'm just showing you. All right, then the Roman Inquisition went 200 years. Well, 150 years. Went from 1542 to 1700s. In the early 15 and 1600s, the Catholic Church went through a reformation. It consisted of two related movements. Okay, it's giving you the history of these things. Okay, and it's going on down here. The Catholic Church called the Council of Trent partly as a defense against Protestantism. Okay, you're going to be under our grip, and you're going to do what we say. We're going to monitor everything that you have, and we're going to kill anybody and everybody that goes against us. Okay, so you can read these things. All right, I'm just showing you that this was spread when religion, Christianity, and Islam became religions of the state. They went around and they were like wiping you out. So you can find this under church and state. Challenging religious privilege in public life. Okay, that's where that is. Okay, so let me show you this first. Let's see, where is it? No, hold on tight. Let me show you this first. Stay here. Matthew chapter 28, verse 19. Then Jesus says, therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Okay, why am I showing you this? I'm showing you this because how did Christianity spread? Because he told them to go and teach this to all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Everywhere that they went, they sent in the missionaries first, spreading the good word of Jesus Christ. You know, teaching you how to do this and get down on your hands and knees and bow your head and pray. You know, they came with the smiles and the warm handshakes and, you know, this caring persona until they get you believing. Then they unleash the dogs, bring in the military with the guns, the colonizers on the ships, and they tell you that you are unworthy sinner. So everywhere that they went around the world, colonizing is how Christianity spread. And if you look here, this isn't a good picture, but here are all of the places they colonized. Let me find a better map. Okay, so when you say countries that have been under European control, talking about the whole world. All right, if you look here, it shows green, colonized or controlled by Europe. Look at all of the places in green. And you, the darker green is everywhere controlled by Europe. Partially controlled or influence is the lighter green. The yellow is where they had influence, and the few little orange are the places never colonized by Europe. So you see all of North America was colonized, Greenland colonized, South America colonized, all of the Caribbean islands colonized, all of Africa, the entire continent colonized. Saudi Arabia and all through here is either colonized or under the influence. I believe this is Soviet Union, India, China, was partially controlled and influenced. Australia colonized. All of these places are colonized. How did they do it? They did it with the Bible. They did it because once they colonized, guess what it became? It became the religion of the state. 39. Okay. It became the religion of the state. Okay. So people saying, and Christians and believers saying, it's my choice. It's a cliche you're saying. It was your choice by indoctrination. They indoctrinated your ancestors. Now, if you really think about it, let's look at this as a timeline. All right. Slavery ended in 1865, 1865, 1965. So if you go back, 2 or 3 generations, your ancestors were slaves. If I go back 2 or 3 generations, my ancestors, my great grandparents were slaves. My great grandparents, my great great, my great great great, my great 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 great, all of them were having Jesus Christ beaten into them. Our ancestors that were forced on the ships in 1618 and 1619, you know, one of the first things they did before they put them on the ship, they changed their names. European names. The first man and first woman placed on every ship, their names were Adam and Eve. Okay, so I'm just showing you this so that you know what religion, a state religion is. You know that it was through state religions that Islam and Christianity and Islam became the most 2 popular religions on earth, because Christianity and Islam are the only 2, and I'm going to check this now. There were state religions. Hold on. Okay, I was right. Judaism was never a state religion. But let me read this. No, Judaism was not a state religion. While Israel is a Jewish state, it does not have Judaism as official state religion, according to the Pew Research Center. All right. Christianity and Islam are the only 2 religions that became state religions. Be very careful, because now we are having the Republicans saying they want Christian. Okay, Judaism was never a state religion. So the only 2 religions that were state religions are Christianity and Islam. Okay, that's it. All right. So I'm going to end this, and I'm going to ask you guys to please subscribe, like, and share. Start teaching your children at home, and stop being a believer. Start telling yourself, my Creator wants me to know. Then go do some research and find out. If you ask God to show you the things that He or she wants you to see, He will, she will. Show me what the teachers aren't teaching and the preachers aren't preaching, and that's a safe prayer. There's nothing anti-Christ or anti-Christian about asking God to show you the things that He wants you to see, to show you the things that the preachers aren't preaching and the teachers aren't teaching. That's a safe prayer, and that's how I got to where I am, and I'm encouraging you to do the same thing. I'm going to say Ashe, and everybody have a great day. I needed to come back and edit in one thing. I said that Islam and Christianity were the only 2 religions that have been state religions. I need to correct myself. So, if you do a search on which religions have been state religions, here you have a list of countries with official state religions. State Religions World Encyclopedia, right? Um, but what I found out is that there have only been 3 religions that have become or been state religions, and those are Christianity, Islam, and the Buddhist. Okay, so the Asian, and here you see countries with constitutional state religions are in orange. Okay, countries with public reference to a state religion are in this brown. But during the time that we were talking about, with the birth of Christianity, let me try to do a quick search on that. Hold on. So it's basically what I had told you earlier in this presentation, is that Christianity became a state religion during the time of Constantine, when he convened the Nicene Council in 325 AD, and they established Christianity through the books of the New Testament that were written by the Piso family, Piso. Okay, and it says here, in the Roman Empire, the transformation of Christianity into a state religion occurred after Constantine became a Christian. Okay, so we can open it up. You can read that. I'm not going to read it to you. I'm just showing you when Christianity became a state religion. Okay, and that's how Christianity became so popular, and people just love it so much. And today, people believe that it is their choice. It's your choice because they've already, indoctrinated you to the point that they know how you're going to think. Okay? Christianity as a state religion. You can come down through here and read this. I just wanted to add this back in. Okay? And it's basically what I told you earlier. I just don't like leaving loose ends. Okay? So I'm going to say, Shay, good morning, everyone. Have a great day. I need to get this in right quick. When we're talking about state religion, Christianity as a state religion is talking about Constantine and the church leaders. All right. And the church leaders illustrated the growing influence of the state of the church, and the church could now use its tools, including violence, to enforce church decisions. All right, so they're saying now that when it became a state religion, the church can use violence, and this is what gave them the authority to start the Inquisitions. All right, 3 bishops, including Arius, who refused to sign the Nicene Council resolution, were anathematized by the council. Anathematized means you're thrown out of the church, and it means even up to killing you. All right, anathematized, and were exiled by the emperor. Constantine ordered the burning of all books. Arius. A capital punishment for anyone hiding such books. Remember I told you that they caught you reading something that they didn't put out, they would kill you. The Catholic Church survived. Christianity further gained ground. Okay, but Christianity did not become a state religion until Emperor Theodosius in the year 380 AD. Okay, signed a decree which not only made it the religion of the empire, but banned all other religions by declaring that the practice of pagan cults would be punished. The state opened the door for persecution of non-Christian religions in the empire. The persecuted had now become persecutors. Okay, so that's how it all went. Ashe, everybody have a great day. I just wanted to put that in.